Been listening there to Emma Cook, the director of the EMA, speaking. She said that the regulatory body was actively investigating cases of blood clots that have developed in people who've had the AstraZeneca vaccine. She emphasised, though, that the numbers of people who've developed clots were very small indeed, and she said there was no indication of a link between vaccines and blood clotting. Now, she emphasised also that the definitive conclusions from experts will be presented to the public on Thursday. Well, our correspondent Dave Keating has been listening to that press conference with me, and he's on the line now. Dave, what are your thoughts on what we've been hearing?
Well, as we expected, she didn't come out with any new assessment. We have to wait till Thursday for that. It seemed to me that she was trying to strike a balance here. On one hand, reiterating that there hasn't been any definitive link between the vaccine and these blood clots discovered yet. But on the other hand, trying to stress that the EMA is taking this situation very seriously and that she knows that EU citizens are concerned about this news. I thought it was interesting that she has not yet, maybe later in the press conference she does, but she hasn't yet explicitly recommended that countries end their suspensions of giving out the AstraZeneca vaccine. She hasn't touched on this question. I'm not sure if she'll be asked about that. Of course, it is not up to the EMA. It is up to these national regulators whether or not they want to do that. She did say at the beginning of her statements there that, and if you look at a risk-benefit analysis, the EMA still believes that the risk is not so great as to justify not giving out the vaccine during a health emergency. But I wonder if she's going to be more explicit about that later. We also were told that the experts are meeting today still at the EMA. They are gathering evidence as we speak. She asked for the public to tell authorities if they have had any of these symptoms of the blood clots, because of course they're trying to gather as much information about this as possible. And she did stress also that the EMA's role here is to come to a very quick conclusion about these linked or not linked illnesses. She stressed that this is a normal occurrence when you have a new medicine on the market, and that the EMA tries to evaluate these types of symptoms, these types of illnesses as quickly as possible to determine whether it's just a coincidence that people who have had the vaccine also develop these symptoms, or if it is indeed linked to the jab. So she was also stressing that this is a normal part of the procedure, but that also normally the EMA tries to come to a conclusion about this stuff as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and as you say, no tangible new information there from Emma Cook. She seems to be reiterating what the EMA had been saying earlier, which is broadly, in their understanding, the vaccine is safe, although they are investigating. Is this press conference a sign then, Dave, that the EMA is under a little bit of political pressure to be seen to be taking this seriously?
Yeah, I have heard that it was the European Commission that was pushing for Cook to hold a press conference today. Indeed, this press conference is being organized out of the Commission headquarters here in Brussels. I think the concern is that they wanted the EMA to fully explain what's going on here, both in their reasoning last week that the risk-benefit analysis says the jab should still keep being given out while the EMA looks into this, and also to reassure the public that the EMA is taking this quite seriously. I think also they are probably looking for her to explain the role of the EMA here, because I think a lot of Europeans are confused about this. In some senses, the EU Medicines Agency is like other national medicines agencies like the FDA in the US, in that it approves medicines for the entirety of the single market. But it's very, very different in other respects in that it doesn't have anywhere near the same kind of power, because each of the countries in the EU still has their own medicines agency, and they can still take their own decisions. For instance, any country has been free to give emergency authorization to a vaccine before the vaccine gets EMA approval. Hungary has done that with Sputnik. The UK did that with Pfizer while it was still under EU rules. So I think that this is also an effort to kind of explain the EMA's role here, what it does. And essentially it is providing advice here to the national agencies. It's their decision in the end. And right now, most of those national agencies in the EU aren't taking the EMA's advice to keep giving out this vaccine while they study what's happening here.
All right, Dave Keating for us there in Brussels. Thank you very much.